Is Blake Lively a mean girl because she refuses to cater to perverts at work? Hey y'all, Shannon has news. So a journalist is calling out Blake Lively for a 2016 interview that she's now referring to as the most uncomfortable interview situation I have ever experienced. That does sound bad. There certainly is some scary beats out there, that's for sure. And these mean girls, ugh, they really can be atrocious. That being said, you really don't want to piss the governor off, that's for sure. Or some really big business fellas, or big pharma. Well, I could name quite a few that some journalists really, really tick off. And, you know, that certainly can be scary for some. I know in my field of journalism, which I cover politics, like I said, government, things like that mostly. I do get to have a good time sometimes covering some of the special events around town and economic development, which I really, really enjoy covering because I love to see our community grow. And I like to see opportunity for the people in the community to better themselves and have a better life, and for them to have more opportunity to make more money and really provide better for their people. So, for me, economic development is very important. But, I didn't always get to cover those kind of things. Sometimes I ended up in situations that were scary, and it did kind of make some people a little angry at me, but the truth will do that sometimes. Sometimes the truth will, really upset some people, especially when it's exposed for the whole world to see. Your community, your peers, people that you are trying to get a vote from. So yeah, in journalism in itself can be pretty tough, but mean girls can cut like a knife, that's for sure. So nobody wants to come up against one of those. But my experience has been coming up against or holding accountable, really not coming up against. I don't like to use that word. Holding accountable some very powerful men in the world. So, I wish things could be a little easier when it comes to journalism. But although I do feel a little bit of compassion for the interviewer, I'll say this: there are much worse situations, though. There's things out there that are, a lot more dangerous than Blake Lively. It says a source close to the actress says the exchange was sparked by the journalist's rude statement to Lively. So it's being reported that on Saturday, August 10th, Norwegian reporter Kjersti Flaa uploaded a 4-minute interview with Lively to YouTube titled "The Blake Lively Interview That Made Me Want to Quit My Job." So this resurfaced interview comes amid rumors of a rift between Blake and her It Ends With Us co-star and director Justin Baldoni. The project marks Blake's first starring film role in 4 years, and she also serves as producer on the film. Justin did most of his press solo ahead of the release of the film and posed with his wife and away from the rest of the cast during the film's New York premiere on August 6th. So that's a few days before Kjersti Flaa released her interview with Blake. So, I'm sure there's got to be some correlation with that because she's trying to grow a YouTube channel too. Kjersti Flaa, that is. I think she's got a channel called Flaawsome. believe that's her channel. And it's I think she's talking with folks about interviewing and her experience with interviewing film stars and folks in the entertainment business. I've saw some of it, so it's an interesting channel. I obviously that's a whole different type of journalism, like I said, for me. She's got a good take on what she's seen and her experiences in the entertainment field. But, I would think that by her releasing that interview around the time of the release of the film is really good marketing on her part. That's what I see it as. I don't know that was any kind of plan. I think she's actually went and spoke with some folks that she's not got any payment for any smear campaigns that we're going to talk about too. We have spoke about. I don't think she's involved with that. She doesn't seem like that she's not a credible journalist. So usually a credible journalist, they're not going to be paid like that at the table so much. They may start a YouTube channel and tell their experiences, and because everyone's got to make money. But there's a very there's integrity there. So as long as she's doing everything with integrity, then there should not be a problem, and no one should have a problem with it, I don't think. Well, it goes on to say, y'all, that Justin has since hired crisis public relations manager Melissa Nathan of the agency group amid reports of his alleged behavior on set. So Blake filed a legal complaint on Friday in which she claimed that a meeting took place in early January to address the hostile work environment that had almost derailed the film. She accused Baldoni and head producer Jamie Heath of repeated intimate harassment and other disturbing behavior, including unwanted improvised kissing from Justin. Y'all, he's the director of the film. And I get that Blake is one foxy mama, but she is married, and that's your workplace. That is inappropriate. So according to this complaint, the actor had a number of requirements in order for her to continue working on the film. And honey, these requirements, these should be a requirement for life, okay? This is not like any big, huge demands being made on somebody. She literally is asking that no more showing nude videos or images of women, including the producer's wife, to Blake and or her employees. I would say you're at work. Stop not showing any of that type of material, especially of your wife, to anybody on the job site. No more mention of Justin's or Heath's previous pervert addiction. No more discussions to Blake and or her employees about personal experiences with intimate relations. No more descriptions of their own genitalia to Blake. So, why is it that men think that strangers want to see their private parts? Most women I know, we're not running around, I just love to see a man's private part today. No, we're not. We're not getting up and saying we just want to go do that. Hey, show it to somebody who cares. Don't waste your time on people that just don't want to see your junk. Really. Mm. So no more mention either by Justin of him speaking to Blavely's late father. Y'all know he did not. Now that's very personal and very wrong. As if the rest of the stuff that he's being accused of, these are all allegations. As far as I know, all these things have not been admitted to by Justin. So these are still allegations at this point, and everyone is innocent until proven guilty. She has made a complaint. I don't know if there's any legal obligations for this or legal consequences as to what he has done. There is. If what he has done, if he's really done what he's done, yes, those are legal. Those are grounds for some type of legal punishment. So the filing also alleged that Justin had inserted improvised, gratuitous, intimate content and or scenes involving nudity in the film. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, y'all. Including for an age inappropriate character in highly unsettling ways without Blake's knowledge. Blake alleges that after Sony Pictures, I've worked for Sony Pictures several times myself, and they have produced really a lot of family-friendly shows that I've worked on. I do believe there is some that are more along the lines of, not adult entertainment, but entertainment for adults. So Blake alleges that after Sony Pictures approved her request, Justin hired a special team and began a campaign to destroy her reputation. Yeah, I've worked for Sony before myself, and I believe that was Lyle Crocodile. Yeah, so I've worked for Sony myself, Sony Pictures, and on a couple of shows, and they seem to be more family friendly, or they certainly have a lot of family friendly programs out. So I can see them just really not wanting that kind of action on their set, really. Yeah, so Blake alleges that after Sony Pictures approved her request, Justin hired a special team and began a campaign to destroy her reputation. Here we go, y'all. It's the smear campaign we were talking about earlier. Okay, the smear campaign begins. Blake's 80-page filing includes excerpts from thousands of pages of text messages and emails between Justin, public relations executive Jennifer Abel, and crisis management expert Melissa Nathan. According to the Times, Nathan has previously worked for high-profile figures including Johnny Depp, rappers Drake, and Travis Scott. The complaint also states that on August 4th, Abel texted Nathan stating, "I'm having reckless thoughts of wanting to plant pieces this week of how horrible Blake is to work with," just to get ahead of it. Nathan responded, "Same," and indicated that she had already spoken to certain media outlets. Fans noted Justin's absence from joint press events, a lack of group photos featuring both Blake and Justin together at premieres, and the fact that the cast, as well as Blake's husband, fellow Hollywood A-lister Ryan Reynolds, had unfollowed Justin on Instagram. I tell you what, these social media channels can tell you everything. They say a lot. They really do. According to the Times, Blake and other cast members had informed Sony and Wayfarer, the movie's distributor and studio, that they would not do any appearances alongside Justin. Y'all, Houston showed his tail bad if they will not even appear with him. I promise you that. If it's that bad that you're not even going to be seen with him somewhere, then you don't want to be photographed with someone, you don't want to be near them. Yeah, that's just separating and disassociating yourself with someone like that. Then that's really telling. If all of these people were disassociating themselves with this fella, this director who had all of this power now, then that is telling something. That is really telling right there. Colleen Hoover, the author of the book It Ends With Us, also did not premiere with Justin at any of the events to promote the movie. Colleen reportedly had her own issues with him and had become more upset after learning that Blake had made complaints about Justin's on-set behavior to the studio. She also did not appear with Justin at press events, and she also unfollowed him on Instagram. Shortly after the release of It Ends With Us, the actor was flooded with negative press that ultimately became a high percentage of her online presence, according to a review she sought from a brand marketing consultant, reported by the Times. You know, I was wondering why I kept seeing all this negative stuff on YouTube about Blake. It was everywhere. It still is everywhere. It is all over the YouTube channel for some reason. And I'm sure it's all over the rest of the social media channels if it's just blasting. If you search Blake Lively right now on YouTube, and maybe on some of these other social media networks, but certainly I have checked it myself on YouTube. If you look up Blake Lively, you are going to have trouble trying to find some good news or anything good about her. That's when I started becoming a bit suspicious. As a journalist, you know, well, let's say as a political journalist, you'll notice that some folks will try to inspire you to maybe put up just unflattering photographs of their political opponent. Although journalists are not supposed to have a political opponent. They're not supposed to have biased opinions when they're reporting. It's supposed to be fair and across the board. The photographs and everything else. There's such a thing as photojournalism. Yes, so the photographs need to be telling accurately. But even the photographs in some of the articles, if the publisher may not lean a certain way, or the editor, whoever, that has something to do with putting that project together, whether it be a newspaper or some other media outlet, whoever's in charge of putting that together can throw in some very unflattering images, you know, like pop-ups in some cases, things like that, that are subtle enough, if you know, sometimes it's so subtle that if you're not really looking for it and trained to know what you're looking for, you could miss it. But it's subliminal. It is subliminal, and it will kind of you know, inspire negative feelings about that person if you are seeing, you know, this one party in such a beautiful light. You know, they are just always looking perfect and put together, so poised. They are so photogenic. You know, all of their photographs just show that the world is just hunky-dory, everything's fine. And then you got the other side, they'll have like they look miserable all the time. Oh, they're just so pitiful. They look like they're just not in control at all of themselves. How could they control anything else and lead anything? Because they can't even control their own appearance, their own attitudes, or anything like that in public. So you get a lot of that, when it comes to publicity. So that's why I thought, is there a smear campaign going on? Blake Lively, what? I've got to check on this. What is this? So sure enough, I looked into it, and there we go, right on top of this going on with her on set and this situation that she's going through. On top of that, she has got to worry about what her fans or even potential fans might think about her. And, you know, there's not a whole bunch of real friendly interviews with her. She seems to be a little bit sharp sometimes with some of the interviewers. And I don't know if that's because she's had a bad experience with reporters. It could be. Once that you've been, kind of thrown on under the bus or again treated unfairly with negative photographs and things like that by reporters, yeah, you have a tendency not to trust them anymore. You see what's going on. If it's targeted at you, you see it. While others may not, it may be a little too subtle for them. It's not too subtle for you. You see it and you feel it. And it's either something that is warranted in a way, not to the extreme it's not. But if somebody is reporting things about you that is, truthful, you may need to make some changes. But if these things are not, truthful, then it becomes a legal obligation to, stop these things. That's a lie. That is definitely a legal liability on the part of the journalist. So don't get personal. Don't get personal, folks. That's just the way it is. So media articles branded her as tone deaf and a bully. They sure did. With some outlets speculating whether she was set to be canceled. Oh, that cancel culture. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I guess there's good and bad to that, but there's a lot of bad to that too, Her hair care line, Blake Brown, reportedly experienced a drop in sales of some 78%. Oh, see? Now she has children that, she's responsible for. And I'm just saying children. I don't know about the rest of her family that may depend on her for some reason. And there's nothing wrong with your family depending on you when you make a lot of money and you are successful. In fact, I feel like if you're obligated to take care of some family members that are not able, maybe to provide for themselves, if they can help you out any way they can, so be it. That's wonderful. But, we're supposed to be taking care of each other. Family, friends, loved ones, all of that. Brothers and sisters in Christ. Take care of each other. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Charity begins and really technically ends, because it's charity, with individual heart, with the church. We have left charity up to the government. It doesn't have a heart. It don't care anything about you. It's a system. Charity needs to stay where it belongs. It needs to stay in the churches. It needs to stay in our hearts and let it flow out like it is supposed to do. Stay away from the charity of the government, folks. There is always an ulterior motive behind that. Well, one day after the release of the movie, Kjersti Flaa, a Norwegian entertainment reporter, uploaded that 2016 interview to YouTube, in which Blake snapped back about comments on her baby bump and appeared standoffish for the remainder of the interview. We're going to take a look at that interview and do a little reaction on it in a little bit. And, we'll just see. I may have a different take than some folks on this interview. I think that they consider her to be a bit of a mean girl and a bully in this particular interview. Um, I maybe, but I think I see things just a little bit differently than that too. So, y'all, this girl is a trip. She posted a video with the title, "The Blake Lively Interview That Made Me Want to Quit My Job." So she also told the Daily Mail that it's time that people behaving badly in Hollywood, or anywhere else for that matter, gets called out for it. Well, Blake is calling out Justin, and that's some really serious bad behavior. We're not talking about hurting somebody's feelings because they were felt a little left out of a conversation. We're not talking about, someone being a little standoffish or maybe even rude a little bit because she may have been having a bad day and she's pregnant. So people do have a tendency sometimes to act out of their character when they are pregnant. Guilty. Sorry, I am guilty. I know several of my friends who are also guilty. There's just something with the hormones that sometimes make you just feel like not dealing with certain people, questions, reporters. So, you should be nice and not be rude to folks, but you can also just not take it personally. It's going to be okay. It really is. It's going to be okay. So, in contrast, earlier this month, Justin was honored at an event celebrating men who elevate women, combat gender-based violence, and promote gender equality worldwide. This fella. Okay, here's the fallout, y'all. A statement from Brian Friedman, who is representing Justin Baldoni, stated that Blake's complaint was yet another desperate attempt to fix her negative reputation, which was garnered from her own remarks and actions during the campaign for the film. Interviews and press activities that were observed publicly in real time and unedited, which allowed for the internet to generate their own views and opinions. The statement, shared with the Times, read, addressing the situation in a YouTube video, Flaa said that she would never take money to jeopardize my integrity as a journalist. Oh, good. That's what I was saying earlier. Some people have started these conspiracies that I am connected to the PR campaign against Blake Lively. That is not true, she said. Okay, so let's just look at this interview ourselves. And you tell me what you think about it. I'm going to tell you what I think about what went on in this interview. And let's see if Blake is a mean girl in here.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
What about my bump?
You've got two nice ones.
They are kind of bumps, aren't they?
No, not bumps. The lovely lady lumps. Check it out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are
You
you
like the movie? Are you a Woody Allen fan?
Okay, so right there, I definitely don't see Parker Posey really being rude. She looks like that she's trying to include her. Now, it did look like Blake got a little bit offended right there. It looked to me a little bit like Blake may have got her feelings hurt a little bit to start with, and I'm sure the interviewer was not meaning it that way. It didn't look like that she was. It kind of looked like that maybe she was just trying to start things off on a friendly foot. But, you never know what to say when you're a journalist to people. You never know what is going to offend them. So if they get offended, you just keep, you move on and you just keep pushing at it. I did wonder at first why the interview that was done with Blake and Parker seemed to be focused so much on the interviewer than with the two actors in the movie. And so I think that was a part of the smear campaign, whether uh, Miss Flaw, the journalist Flaw, whether she, was a participant in it on purpose or not. I think that it certainly was used in a smear campaign against Blake. It certainly looks like it because no one is mentioning Parker. Of course, she didn't seem like a mean girl in here so far. So, hey, let's just see.
Most of his movies, and this one was so like visually amazing.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes that you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And working in
Everyone
digital.
wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
I would.
I love Jesse's suit.
So Parker is looking at her and, including her in the conversation. I noticed that Blake still isn't yet. So that is a little bit rude on her part. I hope that she may have, since they have seen each other and there's other interviews after this. So I would hope that, she did a better job the next time, maybe recognize that she wasn't having a good day and kind of switch those things around. So I've been a writer and a journalist, so about 30 years or more, well, around there anyway. I have interviewed a handful of film stars, like I said, and my first one was with Lauren Chapin. She played Kathy Kitten in Father Knows Best, and I don't know how many of y'all will know anything about that show. It was on in the late 50s, and I knew about it from reruns, watching it from reruns and all, and hear about it from my grandparents. So, yeah, we're coming up on, 75 years or more? Around 75 years since that even aired. She was an adult at that time when I interviewed her, and I was a young reporter. So she played the youngest child on that show. And, she was a delight to me. And I think now, the last I heard, she was a minister and had a website. I think it's Lauren Knows Best or something where, she just tells about her experiences and all. So, full disclosure, I worked with Parker Posey on the movie The Staircase on Netflix, and she's amazing in it. She did a really good job. She's, that is because she's very dedicated. She's very focused on her work. She's extremely dedicated to making a scene work. She's, you know, been in this business a long time herself. She's won a lot of awards, very deserved awards. Um, you know, these film folk, they work an ungodly amount of hours doing the same thing over and over again, just to make sure the fans are delivered a great, sometimes life-changing product. So, anyway, to me, if I'm interviewing someone about their work, my focus is going to be on the project and maybe just a little bit personal. I might ask them for their experience playing the character or something like that. But, I'm not looking for corruption. It's a press junket. And, hopefully it could be a light situation. Well, it should be. It should be a light situation, a light interview. It should be fun. It should not be any controversy in it. So that's terrible that it does get like that sometimes. Okay.
So
It's in
beautiful. That's what
how
I'm saying.
he
His wardrobe was
Oh, I
beautiful.
know.
Corey's
Everybody.
wardrobe
I
was
know.
gorgeous.
He's
Those
so great.
high-waisted pants.
He's so great.
I would wish men
And
wore
sorry,
high-waisted
too.
pants
I
like
know.
that still.
Oh, she looks so uncomfortable. Uh, it's hard not to feel really bad for her right now because you, you can see that you're getting maybe the left out treatment a little bit by somebody, but you know, again, just reel it back in, reel that back in. You're the interviewer, you're the journalist, you're the professional at this, and it's your responsibility to guide your source and help them through the situation, help them through the interview, because, some folks are just not keen on getting questioned all the time or getting a lot of questions about personal things. They're just private. Some people are just private. So you have to respect their boundaries and work with those folks the best that you can.
Still.
Me
Or
too.
the father with his tank top and
Oh,
bed.
it's so good.
Just like it's just like
Did you
that.
catch
You could feel
the
it.
tablecloth on the light in the Italian restaurant when they eat spaghetti?
I didn't
and
notice that. No.
Honestly, there is something to be said about, listening while folks talk. You can learn a lot. A good journalist is not only a good writer, they learn to listen to the conversations that are going on that they're not a part of. Some of the best information that I have had, that I have found, has come out of overhearing conversations from very high-ranking folks. And they don't know you're listening because you're not even maybe a part of their atmosphere. So there is something to be said about becoming invisible when you're a journalist. You learn a lot of things, and you can get some really, really good coverage that way.
There's
I
so
feel
much
like-
warmth of everything,
Yeah, it's not just the women that have the clothes.
But
I feel like the women
Victoria-
get the conversation, but
Okay, she is looking at the journalist, and that kind of tells me that she's trying to say maybe this is the way you should act. This is the way you should talk to folks. This is the questions that you should be concerned with. These are the things that you should be doing. You should be conducting the interview this way. So,
it's like
yeah,
every detail with everybody.
But
Like,
yeah,
it's so,
it was
so
amazing
beautiful.
to look at, and then to
Steve's
see
white
it.
suits.
Yes,
And then you notice in LA, like everybody's in cream colors and all the men are wearing like white and cream. And then you get to New York and it's a little bit more browns and moodier. And Susie really told such a story.
yeah,
okay, that was definitely not mean girl attitude right there. I think her attitude itself had started changing a little bit because she's starting to maybe include the interviewer, Miss Flaa, in the conversation. Now that is again what it looks like to me. And so there is a little change there. Parker obviously looks a little uncomfortable. And it's probably just another situation where you have somebody that is uncomfortable doing interviews. Sometimes people are really, really good at, acting in front of a camera, but maybe they're not so much at public speaking. And that's okay. Not everybody is the same. So, but that's what it looks like to me. Looks like Parker's a little uncomfortable. And Blake's just pregnant.
Amazing.
alongside Vittorio, because it is a lot brighter and sunnier in LA, and New York has just a steaminess to it.
And I think, the whole Hollywood glam, it's so glamorous and everything. Can you relate to the things they were saying about Hollywood? It's so easy to get seduced by the fame and the money and the glamour.
You see it all the time. That was one of my favorite things about the movie, were the subtle turns to their own transition into like the ego of showbiz that Kristen has in that scene with Steve Carell, and then with Bobby taking on the persona of a club owner, but still like these are things you do when you're an adult.
Yeah.
When you have to.
So there's Parker explaining the movie, some concepts about the movie, really just relating it to her question, but bringing it back to the movie, which is what that interview should be about. Folks are going to be interested in actors and actresses and all, but they're going to see the movie. That's what they're paying for. They're paying to see a good movie. It's got to have good writers, got to have a good director, needs to have a good photographers. Everybody, the whole crew needs to come together. There's so many people working on there. Scripts, lighting, sound. It goes on and on, prop. It goes on and on. There's so many moving parts to this industry. People are going to pay to see the movie, not just that one star. The star brings them in for sure. It shines the light on the movie. That's what the stars do. But boy, if that movie is not worthy of the light, there's nothing that star can do to help it. Really isn't.
Work. You have to. You play a part. You play at your life in a way that you find successful, or so it's a lot about choices, and then they carry this love, and it's just very.
Yeah.
It's very.
Miss Flaa here looks very uncomfortable again. But I don't understand why she is still uncomfortable. It's just a conversation between a group of women. I'm not in the room. I wasn't in the room, so I don't know what the atmosphere feels like. But I do know that this is a conversation. And when there's a conversation going on, either you participate or you listen. She chose to listen. And if that's what you want to do, then, you don't need to feel uncomfortable or anything. Just, get into the conversation. Just get in there however you can. It is what it is. If they're not having a bad day, that's not on you. It'll be okay. Don't get offended by it.
Very
It's
grown
neat
up
to
and
see where
warm.
they came from, though, and see how authentic these people truly are and what good people they truly are, too.
Yeah.
Because it's what you would see from the outside of the cafe society. You could dismiss each of their characters, but
Right.
to see what a heart and soul each of them have is nice, and it's something that, that's the thing, as far as like relating to it personally, that you see, you have these ideas of people that you're fans of, and then you meet them and get to know them as a person, and oftentimes you're such a greater fan of them as a person than you are as the person that people feel like they know, and that's always that's always nice. And
Don't it look like to you that Blake is just kind of being open and honest about her feelings? And this interviewer is still offended and taking it offensive that Blake is just talking? When you are the one that's conducting the interview, you are a journalist. You're not supposed to be the center of attention. That would be the subject of the story. That's who the center of attention is. And your source, they don't have to entertain you just because they're entertainers. They don't have to be on all the time. They've already put in their acting hours, which is what they are trained to do. The press circuit really is marketing. I don't know a whole lot of actors that have marketing degrees. So they're really just doing this so that the production can save money. And you might say, well, They're actors. Let them act during these interviews. But is that what you really want them to do? To their fans, to the public? When they tune into the film, the fans know they are watching fantasy. But if there's, but when there's an interview, they're looking for what's real. That's not the time to act. That's an interview now. The acting time is over. You're off the clock and have clocked out on set. You're moving on to a different department. It really has nothing to do with acting. So, to me, why would you want to deceive them? Why would you want to deceive the fans and have the actors act out those interviews? I mean, are you willing to write lines for the actors and slip them some compensation for the after show? No, you want to get that show for free.
Refreshing when you see that.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is the biggest misconceptions about fame and Hollywood in general?
I think the idea that people think that they know you, I think because of the how intrusive media is these days, people care so much more about your personal life than they do your work, and if you aren't open with your personal life, then they just make it up for you and share it for you. So I think the biggest misconception I see often is people feeling like they know someone that they don't, because they know what the media has created of someone. And the disappointing thing is when you meet the people, they're always so much more awesome than they're portrayed to be. I mean, that's normally my experience. And even people that are portrayed to be really great people, they're just a lot more complicated and interesting and nuanced and caring and thoughtful. And that's always nice, to see that your idea of someone.
Sounds like that she has had a bad experience maybe with some journalists that are making up things about her in the press. Or at least people she cares about. That's what she's saying that is a concern, it sounds like. So
Isn't always who they actually are.
Yeah.
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 Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Yep, later. I think we saw the eye roll there at the end. Let's see if we can pause it yet. Okay. So, Parker's eye roll there. People are thinking that means that it was a bad interview because of Miss Flaa, and I just don't agree with that. I think that she's rolling her eyes that, oh, thank God that is over. She may be very uncomfortable giving the interview or any interview. And when any interview is over, most likely she is just, relieved. And she may be a little thinking, that was uncomfortable for sure. So, but, y'all, the thing of it is sometimes we do get our feelings hurt. It's going to happen. People are going to say things sometimes that we don't always either like or agree with. They may be standoffish. Maybe they just don't like you and they don't know why. That is okay. If your spirits are not, clinging to each other, it will be okay. It's not going to be the end of the world. You will find those that you have more kinetic energy with, or, that good vibe with. If you don't have a good vibe with someone, that's okay. You don't have to be around them. You're not forced to be around them. But, even if you don't, and especially if you, if you do feel some kind of way, have a problem with someone, don't be going on a smear campaign, because, don't let it hurt your feelings because, you may feel like a couple of ladies left you out of a conversation or something. It's going to be okay. And So those are my opinions, on that. This is what this is all about. And, you know, with all of this evidence coming out, text messages talking about a smear campaign against Blake, which also explains why I kept seeing all these ugly themes pop up on social media regarding Blake's personality. Yet all the information was coming from folks that don't even know the lady. And now the ones that do know her, those in her inner circle, they are all coming out in her defense. Oh, I really believe that there is some bullying going on. But it ain't on the side of Blake or Parker. I would say that Kjersti Flaa has started her own Mean Girl channel on YouTube. But, she has a right to tell her experiences. She has a right to talk to folks about that. And she has a right to spill the beans on the film work and the film folk that she has interviewed and her experiences with them. But no right to go on a smear campaign, which she says she has no part in. She has said it adamantly that she's not got paid for that she's just coming out equally to the folks that she has had a good experience with and those that she's had a bad experience with. I will say that with her, she does have her own platform now, so you can, really just be a big influence on who is likable and who is not. And on her show, it does seem like maybe she teams up with some other mean girls by inviting other interviewers on her show to agree together about how awful these stars are. Certain ones. But also how wonderful those are. Hey, it may be a good thing that she's shining a light on all of this experience that she's had with the film folk, with their interviews and all. It is certainly interesting to see things from a journalist's point of view. So, here we are. This is my point of view, folks. Hey, y'all. If you'd like the content I'm bringing to you, don't forget to subscribe. Trying to build up my subscribers, and hit that like button if this is something that you want to see more of. Keep those likes coming, and I'm going to keep the content coming.
Now, you know you can't believe everything you see on TV.